Brockler.
And this is our National History Day project on Nelson Mandela.
And how he took a stand against the apartheid. It was the apartheid. It was a hard time.
With blacks and whites separated on different sides of the street. So let's meet a new kind of fella. Here he is. Look, it's Nelson Mandela.
Mandela, what the heck are you doing with your plans? You don't understand where whites stand. A.L. Geyers is not to fan your spark into a fire. The situation's dire. I agree with Geyer. The Bantu, the original blacks, have their backs to the past. Don't forget, no one here is original. For this, we need one principle: the blacks are not equal.
Wait, no.
If we combine, there's trouble down the line because the Bantu, they can't develop with us. We're trying to prevent a fuss. This is why they need a separate bus.
This is proving how white supremacy is unfair.
So are blacks' rights.
Don't you dare. You care about power so much you oppress others for it. This is a serious matter. You can't just ignore it. When you were looking for improvement, you found it by taking away the freedom of movement. You can't take away the freedom of employment or residence. We need a better president. This is our country's death sentence. You put this nation under segregation. This is a devastation. You think this is our destiny? This is a travesty. They're not subjected to serious educational, political, and economic disabilities and discriminations. We will be equal.
This is our fate.
We're going to make South Africa great.
Just you wait. The apartheid was a way of life for South Africans from 1948 to 1993. It was based on an interpretation of Christian principles of justice and reasonableness. The National Party, who created this legislation, said, the apartheid's aim is the maintenance and protection of the European population as a whole white community and the protection of the indigenous racial groups as a separate community with the prospects of developing into self-supporting communities within their own area and the stimulation of national pride, self-respect, and mutual respect among the various races of the country. The majority of South Africa's citizens at the time were non-European or black or indigenous, and they outnumbered Europeans 4-1. For this reason, people thought it was unfair to oppress these people.
Nelson Mandela was a leader for the movement against the apartheid, and he once said, "From now on, the activity of Congresses must not be confined to speeches and resolutions. Their activities must find expression in the wide-scale work among the masses, work which will enable the greatest possible contact with working people. You must protect and defend your trade unions. If you are unable to have your meetings publicly, you must hold them over the machines in the factories, on trains and buses as you travel home. You must have them in your villages and shantytowns. You must make every home, every shack, and every mud structure where our people live a branch of the trade union movement and never surrender." 1950.
Mayday, Mayday, the African National Congress and the Transversal Indian Congress organized the Defend Free Speech movement in Market Square, and 10,000 people joined.
I was there in this square that day, and I hope Mandela plans the future this way. We protested the banning of communist leaders, but here's something your newspaper won't tell its readers. Mandela stayed in the nurses' corridor throughout the night to shelter himself from the gunfire. During the protest, 18 black men were killed because of the unrestrained brutality from the government.
The ANC has communism on the brain. Mandela hid when bullets rained. You say this is your hero, the man who refrained? You're making a big deal about the men who were slain, but let's not forget what will happen if we let communism become a stain on our history. There's no mystery.
Well, Mandela becomes the new leader of the African National Congress Youth League.
Is this what he thinks it's going to take to succeed?
The ANC begins their defiance campaign. Let freedom reign.
Mandela and 19 others were taken out in cuffs.
The government had enough. Mandela and his friends are in the rough. Left without optimism, Mandela was convicted of statutory communism.
Sentenced to 9 months with hard labor, with cellmates as his new neighbors, Mandela and others were again arrested, but freed on bail. No easy favor.
Freedom isn't something to savor. We have to work for it with Mandela as our savior.
Riots start around South Africa with a total of 36 dead, people to remember. And in October and November, Mandela and 52 others are banned by the government.
The defiance campaign halts. We need time to fix our faults.
That December, Mandela and Oliver Tambo opened the first black legal partnership in South Africa, right across from the magistrates' courts in Johannesburg.
Shh! Mandela's ANC speech, "No Easy Walk to Freedom," is being read. You should listen.
During my lifetime, I have dedicated my life to this struggle the African people. I have fought against white domination, and I have fought against black domination.
The Bantu Education Act started, which forced students to speak Afrikaans instead of their native language.
Jy sal Afrikaans praat.
Ek sal nie.
As a result of the Education Act, students began to boycott schools.
Mandela told families and ANC members that every home and community building must become a center of learning.
Hey, listen up. Mandela got arrested. Again.
Earlier this morning, Mandela's house was raided by police and he was arrested. Over 156 anti-apartheid leaders were arrested in the span of 10 days. They were called the treason trial prisoners. Mass protests began in reaction to the arrests.
The treason trial started at the end of 1950. 1960.
Sharpeville, where the world stood still. There were 69 killed. Listen to the voice of the people.
Maybe we've taken this too far. The apartheid has overstepped my bar.
Over 6,000 turned themselves in on their own will to show that they don't follow the bill that claims the freedom can't reign. The blacks can't go back to places without a passbook, get a good look at our society. This is enough to see that there are a variety of people that deserve to live equally.
This was the turning point for the ANC when they took their protest from peaceful to violent. Mandela supported this.
In response, the government began acts of nonchalance. They banned the ANC, arrested masses of people who wanted to be free, and made it illegal to join the ANC for people like you and me. In 1961, Mandela was arrested for treason, but he acquitted. He is not yet done.
And again in 62, Mandela's charges grew when he tried to travel through South Africa without a passbook.
He was sentenced to Robben Island, where he had hard labor, and there he was convicted of sabotage and sentenced to a life in prison.
And for the next 18 years, to the worst of our fears, Mandela lives without a bed or a toilet.
He was only permitted to one letter every 6 months and a visitor once a year.
Mandela has become a symbol worldwide for the fight to end the apartheid.
After 27 years, Mandela is released and our country is close to tears.
It's 89, it's about time. 1990. The government has crossed a line.
The ANC is unbanned and freedom is spreading across the land.
Mandela is released and most of our arguments cease.
And in 93, when he is free, he is awarded the Nobel Peace Prize by the President of South Africa.
And then in 94, like never seen before, the blacks of South Africa can vote.
And then he was elected by Parliament. He's our new president.
The world rejoices. Can you hear their happy voices?
From then on, South Africa is free and equal. The apartheid will have no sequel.
In 99, Mandela has served his time as president.
He steps down after one term, his actions reaffirmed.
And again in 2013,
Mandela passes away and the world mourns.
the rose always comes with its thorns.
We will miss Mandela, but his impacts will never leave us.
We will never forget the messages he preaches.
Because of him, we are no longer short-sighted.
The world is now united.